Good morning, everyone. My name is Lee George. I'm one of the organizers for 1 Million Cup St. Paul, along with Paul Lampland and Greg Fowkes. Paul's from Grey Cloud Studio, and Greg's the president here at the James J. Hill Center. Welcome to 1 Million Cup St. Paul. We do this every week, every Wednesday morning, 9 to 10 a.m., and we have typically 2 startups that present. They each get 6 minutes, and then we get 20 minutes to ask them questions and give them feedback. And as always, we are a friendly yet challenging audience. So our job is to push them along and get them farther than when they came through the door. Today, to start us off, we have Tron from Kudu Laboratories talking about Shepherd Band. Here you go, Tron.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tron Kotze, and I'm the founder of a company called Kudu Laboratories. And one of the products that Kudu is trying to bring to market is called Shepherd Band. So just want to tell you a little bit about where it all came from. So about a year ago, I took my daughter on a field trip, and we went to the Children's Museum just downtown here in St. Paul. And when I got there, you know, we were all sort of, as a first-time chaperone on one of these trips, I was like, you know, this is no problem. They'll get off the bus, you know, and everybody will be happy and nice and listen to the rules. What I didn't reckon with was the hundreds of other kids from other schools that were also there. But I wasn't scared, you know. I thought, you know, I can do this. How hard can it be? So what they normally do is they give you a group, and they say, all right, Mr. Kotze, you know, here's the kids that's in your care, and they give you a list. And I've never met these kids before in my life. I mean, I've just seen them, other than my daughter, for the first time. So I thought, you know, how hard can this be? They'll hold hands, we'll walk through the exhibit, we'll look at all the things that has to be seen, you know, it'll be one of these little kumbaya moments, everybody will have a great time. But what I didn't reckon with was that one kid. You know, there's always that one kid that sees that shiny thing around the corner and poof, gone. And so I'm looking this way, and the next moment, everybody is gone. And I'm standing there, and I go like, holy cow, you know, what do you do now? So as I'm running around this one to try and get him, 3 slip out the door, and they're gone that way. And I was like, I don't know what to do. So I just went and stood by the front door, and I was like, all right, every kid that comes through here, I'll have to get verified against the name and see, does this kid belong to my group, yes or no? And if yes, you know, she can go. So as I was standing there, with other parents, by the way, I wasn't the only one with this sort of last defense mechanism of blocking the entrance. I was like, wow, this is something that could be solved. You know, technology today have moved in such a phenomenal pace that this should be easy to solve. And so I was thinking about it, and what I came up with is a product called Shepherd Band. So Shepherd Band is a little wireless bracelet. It's one of these wearable devices that everybody is talking about today. And you put it on the kid's wrist, and the bracelet connects with a wand. And this is sort of something like this microphone. And you can have up to 200 bracelets connecting to this one wand, and you can have multiple wands in an area. So you can have multiple groups of children associated to various different wands. And if one of these bracelets were to go further away from the wand than you want it to, the bracelet vibrates, it plays an audible tune after a while if you ignore the vibration, and it has a little light that lights up. And the light is color-coded, and the wand has a light as well. And the light of the wand and the light of the bracelets that's associated to that wand is the same color. So if the kid goes like too far away, the thing vibrates. The wand vibrates, the chaperone knows that somebody is too far away, the child knows that he's crossed that magical barrier, and the kid can come back. And the reason why I've done the wand thing, if there's a big crowd and the kid doesn't know where the chaperone is, you just hold it up in the air. So it's like a beacon, and the kid can go, oh, I'm in the green group, there's the green light, that's where I need to go. So the idea, I think, is nice. Everybody goes like, oh, wow, that's a great idea. But is there a market for it? So this is one of the things that small business owners and entrepreneurs like myself always have to struggle with. Like, ideas, they say, is a dime a dozen. They're not, but that's what people think. But still, is there a market for your idea? Are there people that will buy this thing? So I've done a lot of research, excuse me, over the last couple of months. And these are the numbers of kids just in the big 3 museums in the Twin Cities area. I mean, when we look at the Children's Museum, they had 650,000 visitors in the 2013-14 calendar year. Of that, there was 121,000 kids that got reduced or free entry. So there's at least 120,000 children that I know of that went to this museum. Science Museum, same thing. 95,000 students during one calendar year that went through the Science Museum on field trips. And the Historical Society, I mean, these people have, look at the number, it's almost 1 million people that went there in 1 year. Of that, 217,000 students that went through there on field trips. So those are just the kids that I can track that went on field trips. And these are just the big 3. I've got data from about 15 museums in the area, and we're talking at least another 200,000 kids that went through the rest of these museums during the course of 1 year. I've also done a lot of research in the field, so I've made a couple of these bands, and I was like, all right, let's go play, let's go test, let's go see, let's go ask people, do they really have a problem? Because it's easy for me to say, oh, you know, yeah, I had a problem, but what about you, or you, or you? Do you think this is something that's worth it? And all the research, all the information I'd gotten over the last 6-7 months has been extremely positive. The parents all go like, where can I buy it? When can I buy it? How can I buy it? I actually sold 2, which I'm almost ashamed to say because they're far from ready. But this mom saw me playing with it and with other kids. So I had my daughter and her friends, and we were on a field trip, and I had the bands in mine, and nobody else had the bands. And so I'm this guy sitting back, and I'm relaxed. I know my kids are safe. You know, I don't know where they are. I don't care where they are. I just know they're safe. They're within 50 yards or 20 yards, and that's adjustable. So everybody is saying this is a great idea. Excuse me. I've also done a lot of work on my prototype. So in the top left-hand corner is what I started with a year ago. It was a little part I hacked together just to sort of see, can this be done? Is this something that I should even look into? I've worked through some design iterations currently. This is my product that I have. I can show you guys a little bit later. It has all the electronics and battery and all the software. Everything works. It just looks a little bit like a beast. And unfortunately, the picture doesn't really do it justice, but I'm working on the next design iteration of this so that I can start making these things and giving it out to museums. The plan for me is not to sell these bands. I started going down the let's sell it path, and then I realized very soon that there's a race to the bottom. You will make a subpar product in order to compete in that market. And so I spoke about this a week ago about pivoting, and one of my pivots was instead of selling the bands, I'm planning on renting them out. So I'm trying to meet up with museums, I'm trying to partner with these museums. I will set up the stall, I will put them at the museum front door, and I will say, hey, if your kids are going on a field trip today, $2 a kid, rent this band for the hour or 2 hours, whatever you need it for. At the end of the day, I'll take it back, clean it up, rent it out again. So this enables me to create a great product at something that keeps on giving. You know, it's always nice to have some sort of a model that keeps making money. But as you all know, running a business is not easy. I've got a lot to do. I still have a lot of challenges, and that's part of the reason why I'm here today. I need to get my foot in the door at museums. I need some design help. I need some marketing help. You know, those are all the things that myself, I can't do it all. Well, I could, but it'll take me forever. It'll be subpar. And, you know, it takes a village to build a business, and this is part of my village. So that's all I got for today. Thank you very much.
Can you just expand on a little bit about building a team, and how have you made any progress, or like what does that look like for you in the next?
So I had a bit of a team. Well, I still have some backup people. I've got a graphic design guy. As you can see, I think my logo is really nice. And so my graphic design friend is helping me with website development, graphic designs, that sort of stuff. I have another buddy of mine that's helping me a little bit with website, just the programming of websites and things. But one of my big challenges is finding people that are excited and that are willing to work with me or for me or alongside me, or however you want to do it. I'm trying to court a few people to see if I can maybe get a co-founder, sales and marketing. But getting a team together has probably been my biggest challenge over the year. I moved to the cities about a year ago, and my village is still back in Wisconsin. I moved here from Milwaukee. And so it's been a bit of a problem, a bit of a challenge just to sort of engage them, get them excited, or keep them excited. And I'm trying to build that same village around here in the Twin Cities area.
By the way, we were both in the Studio Read together in the same car.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the programs that we have that's going on upstairs now. That's why we're downstairs. we've been at. My question is this. You know, the propensity right now is for all kinds of watches and waiting for Apple Watch and all of this kind of stuff. Is there a way that you could tie in and then have a wand app that would be able to long-term? Is that a potential? Or is that just, because I don't know the electronics that you.
So people ask me, and when you go on Google and Kickstarter and all these places, you'll find similar applications. You'll find other people that have lost a child on a field trip or in a party or wherever. And they're trying to come up with similar solutions. And the technology that they use is a thing called Bluetooth. Now, we're all aware of with Bluetooth headphones, maybe Bluetooth speakers. Bluetooth is a great technology, but it's your personal sphere technology. It's basically meant for something that you can touch. And so this is part of the problem that I have. Well, this is actually, my weakness is becoming my strength. I'm not using Bluetooth. I've designed this thing from the ground up with 3 things in mind. I've designed it so that it has a long range, so that the kids can go hundreds of yards instead of just tens of feet. The competitors that I have, or the potential competitors that I have on the market, and the Apple iWatches and the Google Watches and the Pebble Watches, they all use Bluetooth. So the longest they can go on the perfect day, on the ballpark, with no obstruction, if they hold this thing 10 feet off the ground, is about 100 feet. I can go almost a mile. So my kids have much more freedom. So in that sense, my first prototype that I had, that little blue watch that you saw, that was just a Wi-Fi device, and I paired it up with a cell phone. I used my cell phone as the base. But the problem we had was range. So we had all kinds of false alarms. And the other thing that I've done from the ground up for this product is, it's all about groups. So all these devices that's out there, it's a one-to-one connection. Bluetooth doesn't like connecting to multiple devices. It can, but it becomes cumbersome and it becomes an issue. So it's a one-to-one connection. Mine is groups. It's been designed from the start to enable groups. And the last thing I've got, which people always ask me, well, is there an app for it? Is there an app for it? And in the beginning, I thought of that as a weakness. I was like, oh yeah, I should really get an app for it. But think about it. Who takes your kids on field trips? Who are the people that are with bigger crowds? Do they have time to sit on their phone and try and figure out who's missing and where they are? So they don't have that capability, or maybe necessarily the bandwidth to do all that. So my weakness is my strength. I've taken the smartphone out of it. This is a closed system. You can go in the middle of the Sahara Desert without Wi-Fi, without GPS, without Bluetooth, without cell phone connection, and this thing will still work. Does that answer your question?
Good thoughts.
Yes.
You talk a lot about fixed distances, so
Yes.
being close to the wand. Have you experimented at all with geofencing in terms of going to the Science Museum and knowing you can be anywhere in this property and be fine the second you take a step within 5 feet of a street, for example, or the river,
Yeah.
that it would set off the alarm so that they could be a little bit of an extra distance away, but they would still be within the geofence boundary?
One of my prototypes that I've made did have a GPS device in it. Because geofencing, you need GPS. You need to know on a grid where this person is. But guess where GPS doesn't work? It doesn't work indoors. So I took it out. Again, there's a lot of things that can be done in version 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. I'm not ruling out any of these options. I'm just saying for right now, as a startup, MVP is important. Get something out there, make some money, get some feedback, and then build on that. So,
How have you been received then by some of the museums that you talked to with this?
museums are hesitant because it costs money. So that was why I pivoted. In the beginning, I started to say, hey, let's sell it to the parents. The parents are extremely excited about it. But nobody's going to pay $100 a band. So that's the problem. And if you have multiple kids, you have to pay multiple hundreds. So then I said, all right, I'll sell it to the schools. Well, guess schools don't have any money. That's just the fact of life nowadays. So I was like, all right, if schools don't work, parents won't work, let's move to the museums. Museums aired the same concern. They were like, you know what, yes, we like it, but, and there's always a but. So what I'm trying to do now, and this is part of what I'm here for today, is to sort of see if I can get my foot into that door, is to partner with the museum, and I will say, I'll give you this for free. I'll put up a little booth in your front lobby right next to where the kids register for the day. I will staff it, I will maintain it, I will support it, we'll split the profit. So it's a win-win. I'll make a buck, they make a buck, everybody is happy. So have I had positive returns on that? None yet.
Tell conversations where they're thinking about it. It's such
Yes, I've spoken with a couple of people at the Minnesota Historical Society. Actually, I just sort of blind emailed a bunch of people, all the email addresses I could find. I was like, all right, hey, guess, woohoo, look at me, I'm here, can we talk? And this one lady actually called me back. She goes like, wow, thank you. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes like, she was it's not the CIO, CTO, but high up in that organization. So she's somebody that makes a good salary, that is a busy person, that doesn't really have time for nonsense. And she goes like, I just spent 25 minutes trying to find the parent of a child that I found in the bathroom crying. So they're interested. I'm talking with them. She's trying to convince her bosses to do a pilot program and sort of say, hey, you know what, we can do this thing. Yes?
Consider reaching out to sponsors of those organizations. For example, the U.S. Bank sponsor programming at the museums.
I've not considered that for the only reason, the fact that I'm just one person. So,
Probably have more cash
yeah.
to align themselves with innovative technology is something that they may be interested in.
No, that's an excellent idea. Thank you.
Playing off that, I know one of the things you have an issue with is the perception of risk, and so inserting risk and fear into a place that's like a museum, people are going there to have fun. So when they come into that space and you're pitching something that maybe they're not thinking of, that's part of the trouble right of itself to them.
Yeah.
So even if you're like going to sponsors, have you thought, like, how do you actually approach that? How do you talk about it from a non-fear-based perspective?
So I think what I'm trying to sell here is not a prevention of risk. It's an accompanying device. I think one of the comments I did get from a potential customer was the fact that if they put this in the museum, it creates this sense that maybe there's a problem, which there is. They just don't want to admit it. So, and then they go like, well, if we give this thing to parents, the parents are just going to be lazy and they won't watch their kids anymore. They're going to totally rely on this product instead of actually watching their kids. And it's true. This is not a solution that says, your kid is there. This is not something that says your kid is guaranteed to be safe. This is just something that says, instead of being out there and being stressed out and not having fun, this is sort of a second pair of eyes. Just keep an eye on them. Just keep them happy. Does that answer your question?
Can you set that it was a maximum of 100 feet versus the
Yes.
miles? So you can,
Yeah. You don't see it right now in my prototypes. What I have right now, they're set at about 30 feet, just because that was the sort of range that I played with. My next version of it I'm working on right now has like a little button that you can set 10, 50, 100, 200 feet. Yes.
seems to make a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
One of the, yeah. So for the smaller kids, you want to keep them closer. For the larger kids, you want to give them a little bit more space. I'm also talking to one of the board members for the Wisconsin Boy Scouts Association, or Boy Scouts Troop, whatever they call themselves. And he was like, wow, this would be a great thing on summer camp. Like if the kids go outside, but then we need range, we need space. And so that's basically where the whole setting the range idea started coming from. I was like, okay, so in the museum, I want them to be 50 feet away, but outside, I want them to be 400 feet away or 400 yards away. And that can be set.
So if the guy's 400 yards out and then the buzzer goes off at 401 and he's heading out for 500, does it tell you where he is? Or
No.
Does it just tell you you're outside and you need to send out the troops to look?
Yeah. No, it doesn't know where he is. All it knows is a radius from where the base station is. Yeah. So it's not a solution, it's a prevention. I'm not trying to track the kids. I'm just trying to say, hey, you know what? You're too far away. How about we move closer? And then I'm also going to give the chaperone or the whomever is in charge an opportunity to know that somebody is too far away. I think most of that, in that scenario, most people will go like, all right, look up. All you have to do is look up and go, oh, yep, there's Sammy. Hey, can you come back? And Sammy knows as well that he just broke that barrier. He's aware of it, and it's still. People ask me, don't you want to put like a taser in it if the kid goes too far? I'd love to do that, but try and get that past the authorities. So it's not a prevention. It's not a solution to where the kids are. It's just sort of it's an aid that helps them not get lost and do something about it before it becomes a problem.
Well, going back to pivot here, a couple of museums here, the bulk of the children's admissions are based on subsidies. It'd be very hard for a subsidized kid to come with $2, stand 40 kids in line and collect $2 from each kid to get this going. It would take half the field trip. The other thing is, why are you so focused on museums really only here in Minneapolis? You take it to a larger city which has much less unchaperoned kids here. Museum would gladly pay for this because it makes their life a lot easier. I think you should be going with, you come from Milwaukee, and actually go to Chicago, where there are not so many chaperones, and museum would gladly pay for it. They don't care.
No, and absolutely, I've had that problem. I started this project in Milwaukee, and so I worked there with their science museum. They've got a thing called Discovery World. And then when I moved here, this is my focus right now. So it's just geographic. It's where is it easy, where is it inexpensive, where is it better for me to get day-to-day feedback, where can I go and talk to the people? But absolutely, I'm mentioning museums because that was where I had my problem. But there's a ton of other applications for this. My second version of this will not have the wand and the band. It's going to have two bands. So you'll have the parent with a band, a little wristband, and the kid with a wristband. Once you do that, it becomes sort of a general purpose device. So I'm looking at kids with autism. Kids with autism walk away. You hear stories about it all the time. Some kid walked away, unfortunately some of them don't come back or end up in the ditch or something. Older people with Alzheimer's, dementia, these people are also wanderers. They keep going. And it's not a thing that says, oh, there is grandpa or there is little Sammy going, but it's something that can tell the caretaker something just happened. Let's find out what before it becomes a problem. So I'm looking at that. I'm looking at tour groups. If you guys ever been in a tour group, and maybe even on a school field trip or something, there's always that one or two stragglers, that everybody is waiting for and sort of like, where is Mr. So-and-so? And this is a solution for that. One feature I didn't mention is if you want to call the group, there's a little button on the wand. You push the button and all the bands light up, all the bands vibrate. So it's a great way to say, hey, we're done with this, let's move on, or let's get together, or it's time to go. So those are the things that it enables a whole different market. I'm just trying to focus on one now, master it, conquer it, and then if I'm the master of that, I believe I can move on easily.
Sends about 50,000 kids a year through their program, so they have buses lined up, and they're from all over the state. And at any given day, we have 25 buses outside our building here. That might be an application that you talk to.
Yeah, I'm talking with my school, the school that my kids are in. And the principal is saying, what, we could easily tag $2-3 onto the field trip expenses. It's a well-off school, so the parents have money. But to your point, not all parents have money, and not all kids have it.
How would you reverse engineer so you could find out the kid wasn't on the bus?
Was not on the bus? Well, if the chaperone leaves, so he's on the bus with the wand, it'll vibrate until all kids are within range. So you can just sort of set the range back to 15 feet, push the button, get the troops to come in, and when they're all within your little sphere, it'll stop notifying you. There was a question back there.
Yeah, I was just thinking, you mentioned other applications for it. I'm thinking maybe like Disneyland or places like that. But I think if you found a way to make it a revenue generator for these organizations, say Valley Fair or maybe museums, but for smaller groups that just come in and have 4 kids that want to come in and maybe they think, hey, this is a great idea. Then mom and I can go sit and drink coffee in the coffee shop, the kids can tear around and we know that they're here. If the museum can see how they buy it, they make money renting it out. That might be a way to sell it.
Excellent, yeah.
And in fact, to that end, one of the times when you have a bunch of children and the expectation for another high expenses is a birthday party. And so if you can get a museum to think of rolling this into a package, so hey, you're going to have 25 kids you've never seen before, here's a way that you're not going to have to go to Jimmy's dad and say, hey, it's somewhere in the science museum.
Yeah.
They can charge like a $4 premium on a $2 product and make an additional revenue off that, plus you get your cut. And that's broad exposure.
Yes.
So now you have 25 kids who have used it, they know it's comfortable, they know they like it, and now when their parents, when they go with their parents, because a lot of these are going to be repeat
They're going to talk to each other and say, yeah. And that's what I've seen during my testing is, like I say, I have 10 of these things right now sitting in on my desk. And so I can only take 10 people out to test this with. And every time I'm testing it, people were like, wow, did you see that? You know, that was really cool. You know, so-and-so's kids didn't go too far away because they were notified that they should stay closer. One of the things, this is just a little side story. So when I made my first prototype, I gave it to my daughter and I was like, hey, what do you think of this? And she was like, ooh, Papa, this is great. She was like, can we play with it? I was like, sure, go for it. So she put the band on and she ran out the house. And I was like, all right, this is great. You know, I know she's within 50 yards of my house. I'm cool with that. You know, if she goes outside that boundary, I'll be notified. Well, she kept going. And I was like, this is a problem. So she just ignored. There was there was only a little vibration on it at the time, like your phone when it's in silent mode. I've got the exact little motor in it, so it just vibrated, and she just ignored it. And she came back with a sort of like little sly, sort of naughty laugh, and she's like, "Ha ha ha, it didn't work." And I was like, "You're absolutely right. It didn't work. It wasn't supposed to work as like stop, drop, and roll sort of thing. It was just a notification. So she knew she was crossing the boundary. She chose not to pay attention to it. But then I thought about it for a little bit and I was like, you know what, I need audible alarm. I need something beyond the vibration. So it should be silent and inobtrusive in the beginning to sort of give them a heads up and say, hey, there's something going on. But if they ignore that, this thing goes really bonkers. I mean, it makes so much noise that 20 yards around you, people are going to go like, hey, kid, get back there.
But the idea of Kathy's is that, you know, when you talk about kids or families spending $65 to $100 for a ticket,
Yeah.
you know, adding another dollar to one thing is not going to be, for a lot of families, it's going to be valuable to
Yeah.
it.
But the whole thing there is I need to find those partners to partner with. I've not been able to get a foot in the door. You know, it's always funny, they say don't talk to the CEO first. I'm actually experiencing the other way around, because if you speak to the little guys first, they think it's great, but they have no authority to sell it up the chain. So I don't know. This is one of my challenges that I'm experiencing right now.
We try to stay fair,
Yes.
you know, and just hit families. My kids, you know, a few years ago were at an age where they were kind of ready to wander out on their own a little bit, but, you know, that's a really scary environment. But something like that you can rent.
I've been thinking of putting up a little booth at the state fair and just sort of rent these things out, you know, and see what happens. But I don't know if you guys know this, to run a hardware company is very expensive. So to make these things is a lot of money, and it's, you know, there's only so much resources I have by myself, so.
How much does it cost to make a unit?
To make it? Oh, that's top secret. Too much, that's the problem, yeah. So it's, like I said in the beginning, I can drop the price. I can make it from where I am right now to probably about half of that, just in cost. But then a lot of things suffer. Battery life, because I'm not using Bluetooth, everybody is using Bluetooth for a reason. They're using Bluetooth because it's cheap and because it's got a long battery life. So my battery life is a problem. I need big batteries. So if I drop the price, I have smaller batteries, the thing lasts less. Recharge cycles become an issue. Something else that's a problem is the radio technology. And instead of the technology I'm using right now, I can change to something else. But then it becomes a Me Too product, and it becomes a cheap knockoff. And I would prefer not to have a cheap knockoff. So that's why I've pivoted. That's why I've decided, instead of selling it, to see if I can rent them. Because that way I can put something on the market that I'm proud of, that I feel is indestructible, that I feel is the best. And I don't have to worry about margins. I don't have to worry about, you know, can I make a 5% profit or a 50% profit or a 100% profit? That's not important. Well, profit is important, but it doesn't come down to that one-off margin.
I would say to you on that comment, just to get a
Yeah.
comment, is that don't get too in love with your product.
Yes.
Let's get some sales out there.
Yes.
And what those guys, what your customer wants, and you can always have iterations.
Yes. No, and that is true. I just joined the little accelerator program in Wisconsin, and they asked me, they go like, so Tron, you already have a product, you already have, you know, done your testing, you've done a lot of research, you know, we feel like you've done a lot of things that we could teach you. And they go like, what do you want from us? You know, why do you want to be part of an accelerator program? And I told them, I said, I need to learn from the start again because of that. I am in love with this product. I believe this is the best solution, but I need to step back and say, all right, you know, this is a solution. It might not be the best solution. It might not be the only solution. It might not even be a solution, but let's step back. And so this is the process that I'm trying to go back to now and say, will people buy it?